Then everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Park Lane Podcast, episode number 30 today. Seems to be absolutely flying by. It's an absolute pleasure to be back. My name is Luke, and as always, well, not always, recently, but he's back. No. My co-host Harry, how are you doing, mate? Looking fresh.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I had a haircut yesterday. No, I'm so happy to be back. Obviously, I've missed the last couple of shows. It's been a couple of weeks, but honestly, I feel like I've aged loads. It feels like it's been a long while. But no, you've done a fantastic job. And yeah, I'm so excited to be back.
Amazing. Look, we had some really good reaction to last week's video. So, make sure you're sharing it around. Make sure you are liking. Make sure you're following. Make sure you're doing all of that good stuff. And if you do like the show, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you are listening on any podcast platform, do not forget to follow and give us a 5-star review. Before we get into it, I will read out some of the comments because we do have some regulars in the house. So make sure you're getting your comments in and we will shout everybody out. If you have any questions, don't also forget to put them in the chat and we will read every single question out. But quickly, shout out to our sponsor, SecurityVPN. I'm not going to read through the massive script. So if you're interested, check out the link that you can see at the bottom of this video, just securityvpn.com/Park Lane Pod. If you use Park Lane Pod at checkout, you also get 25% off your first month. So all that good stuff. If you like it, great. If you don't bother. Right. So let's move on then. Quick shout out to Johnny, the Arsenal fan. Thank you very, very much for joining, coming every week. So do appreciate it. We were late today, but he said, it's the first time you're late. It's fine, unlike some Arsenal podcasts that make an exception when they actually start on time. So that's good to know.
It's my fault.
It's Harry's fault. Harry forgot.
It is my fault.
Work, so.
Technical issues again. Made sure it's all right this morning, but there you go. Hey ho.
Yeah, so Harry, we're getting kind of to the end of this international break now. Premier League is back, which is wonderful. You weren't in the shows during international break, so I kind of want to go over that with you.
Okay.
Obviously, Harry Kane becoming the all-time England goal scorer. Give me your initial thoughts on that.
Absolutely delighted for him. The amount of stick he gets, especially from England fans, and even now, still massively. He doesn't get the respect, you see, Luke. He deserves from English fans, from football fans, from anyone really. He's now Tottenham's and England's all-time record goal scorer. I mean, how people can still doubt him is just beyond me. And even like his comparison to the likes of Haaland and Lewandowski, for me, Kane's in a completely different league. So yeah, absolutely delighted for him. I just hope he can continue, the form he showed for England in Spurs after the international break. But no, I'm so happy for him. Fantastic, another fantastic achievement. When he's achieved so much, and it feels like all the time he's breaking a new record. He's breaking this. So long may it continue.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. He's all right for a one-season wonder, isn't he?
He's definitely all right.
One of the things I think about Harry Kane is people talk about him and the fact that, when he retires from football, if he doesn't leave Spurs, will he regret not winning anything club-wise, right? But if you look at what he will achieve as a footballer, is miles and miles and miles above anybody's wildest dreams, in my opinion. Now, it is interesting. I'll quickly ask you this, and then I'll bring Dave in because he's sitting waiting. Do you think that is important? That he should win a club accolade, or are personal achievements more important?
It's an interesting one. I think Kane's a player who obviously deserves to be winning a trophy every season. And regardless of the decision he makes in the summer regarding, obviously he doesn't go to a rival. I respect what he does. I think he's done a lot, for the club. I'll forever be thankful. For me, I saw comparisons, would you rather have Kane's career or Vardy's career? For me, Kane's clear, he's at a big club. We hasn't won a trophy, of course, but the golden boots he's won, the journeys he's been on, and like Tottenham's all-time record goal scorer, for example, achievements like that. I'd much rather have his career, coming through the youth academy, instead of going to a big club and, you know, not really standing out. Whereas at Tottenham, he stands out as a player person. I don't think you need trophies to be recognised. I mean, I think becoming Tottenham's all-time record goal scorer and England's all-time record goal scorer is enough to be remembered for a long, long time. But at the same time, of course he should be winning trophies, and he deserves to. And I think the club's let him down.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, isn't it? I won't go into too much detail with you, Dave, because we've talked about this till the cats come home. But it's good to see you, mate. How you doing?
Hey, Dave.
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. All go at my house this morning. So apologies, I'm a bit late.
No, you're right.
Right. We've only been going 5 minutes because Harry was late. So I was the only one on time.
I had technical problems again.
Let's kind of move on a little bit. And I'll come to you with this first, Dave, because, you know, the problem with these international breaks at this time in the season is that, you know, things can happen like are happening at Spurs. I will just run through some of the injuries with you at the moment. You know, we have Bentancur out for the season. Yves Bissouma out for the season. Emerson Royale picked up injury in with Brazil, and he's out for probably the rest of the season. Ben Davies out to 4 to 6 weeks. Sessegnon, return unknown. Hugo Lloris only just returned back to training. You know, it's not ideal, is it, that what they have in the modern game of football is all of these international games that just continue to pile pressure on some of these top quality players, and you end up with injuries like we have now.
Well, the thing is, mate, is that most top clubs have a squad with a few injuries. Tottenham don't. That's a fact. We lose one or two players, we're snookered. So I understand about international games, but it's always been that way. There's always been national breaks. There's always been, you know, games in the middle of the season. There's always been lots of competitions with FA Cups and Champions Leagues or European football, whatever you want to call it. And so for me, you have to have the squad to be able to deal with that. You have to have the depth to be able to deal with that, and to deal with the, you know, the constant competitions and you know, things like that. My internet that's dodgy. Or
No, it's all good. Carry on.
Did you hear me all right?
Yeah.
So it's always been that. It's always been that way. But you have to adapt, and you have to build a squad which is good enough to compete on all fronts. You know, a few injuries shouldn't define a whole team's season. You know, I understand in terms of the Liverpool situation a couple of years ago, but their whole defence was injured. You know, it's us missing Hugo or Ben Davies for, you know, a few games or whatever else. And yeah, it's annoying, but we should have the depth by now to be able to cope with it. So again, that's an ENIC failure. I think the players they've brought in, you know, you look at Lo Celso and Ndombele, you know, even back to 1/4. So instead of building a squad which is able to compete on all fronts and able to cope with the injuries, we haven't, and that's the biggest problem.
No, yeah, it's a very, very good point.
Yeah.
Harry, I want to come to you now about Emerson Royale, because, you know, I was just going through the injuries then when you kind of jumped off, but he, for me, is probably one of the bigger, newer injuries that we have at the moment. Do you see that being a difficult end to the season for us with him out, or do you see that actually it could be a positive for the likes of Pedro Porro to actually start cementing a place in this team?
Well, I think it depends how you look at it. Everyone's going to have a different perspective, and everyone's going to look at it in a different way. And with us, we know how divided our fans are, different opinions, different ways of looking at it. You know, I never thought I'd be saying this, you know, like at the end of last year, that we will be missing Emerson if he goes out injured. But, you know, especially for him, you know, he's built his confidence up, he's improved the performances, and you can see game by game. I don't think he's fantastic. You know, I think he'll still get better. I don't think he's you know, he's not up there in terms of one of the best, you know, definitely not in the Premier League, but he's improving game by game. So for him, it's a bad time to get injured, just as his confidence, because confidence is everything in football, you know, we know that. So it's a bad time for him. Porro, you know, I like the little bits I've seen, but at the same time, in the international break, you know, he was at cause for one of the goals conceded. So, you know, it depends which way you look at it. Porro, I think, is people got to give him time, but there's positives and negatives at the moment with Porro. But whatever way you look at it, it's one less player, and it's not having that replacement. So going into that Everton game, especially that defence, I think our defence is bad enough as it is. But without you know, for example, Davis is. I don't know if Perisic is available or not. You know, as you said, you've got Emerson there, so we've got lots of defensive issues. And with Tottenham, you don't need that. Our defence is bad enough.
Yeah, and you know, I want to talk in more detail about a few different things today. You know, just so that everybody's clear the kind of thing we're going to talk about, because this club right now is probably the biggest shambles that I have seen in my lifetime at Spurs.
Oh,
and I'm not just talking about the fact that, you know, thank God Antonio Conte is gone from Spurs. And I want to make this clear because someone commented on my video that I did about the sacking of Antonio Conte, and they commented and said that, you know, he wasn't sacked. He was released by mutual consent.
He was
Well,
sacked.
that's the same. That's the same thing. For anybody that's dumb enough to not understand, it is the same thing. But you negotiate a mutual payout that is better for all parties. But anyway, so I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about the kind of shock news that you know, Stellini is now going to be the interim first team coach. But also, there's a few, you know, quite a few other things that there was a statement, very interesting statement last night that came out. So about certain Fabio Paratici. So let's start first of all, kind of a bit of a curveball. And you boys, we don't really talk about this much on the channel, but we not only have no manager for the men's team, but we also have no manager for the women's team. So, you know, I don't want you boys to kind of go into too much detail about it, but what does that show, Dave, about the incompetence of this football club altogether?
Oh, so we really want to get Dave going here again. Yeah. Oh, mate, it's a fucking mess, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to start with the Paratici thing first, if you don't mind.
Okay, we're going to go on to that, but yeah, go for it.
Okay, let me do the women's team first then. So, I mean, it's been a call. When was the women's manager sacked? That was a month ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
got to be
it was a while ago. Yeah,
still no manager. I mean, it reminds me of when Tottenham were hunting after Mourinho, and we ended up with Nuno. Unfortunately, and that's kind of what it's going to be like for the women's team, unfortunately, because this club from the boardroom is a fucking shambles, which does lead into the Paratici thing. I've been trying to think about this all week. I can't wrap my head around why he was employed in the first place when there was this pending investigation. But fair enough, it was done. But then when he gets his ban, his Italian ban, as you want to call it, we don't act and we don't ban him, or we don't suspend him. We let him carry on, and then he's then banned by FIFA worldwide. But the day before, released a lovely little video of him talking about the future, talking about how we've all got to be together. The next day, he gets a worldwide football ban. And what did Tottenham do? Instead of doing the right thing, going, oh, you know what? This is a bit hot for us at the moment. We've got sponsors, we've got everything else. We're going to just let them take a back seat. They released some shitty statement saying, you know, it's, you know, we're trying to find out what's going on. Well, you know what's going on, mate. It's been going on for the last year. And then after the pressure of probably sponsorship pressure and probably fan pressure and everything else, they then decide, you know, a few days later to do the right thing. But it's always too little too late with Tottenham, like in everything, in every aspect. And this is like, it's like a circus, mate. It really is. It's like, I don't think anyone knows what direction we're supposed to be going in. Like I said to you, we've got a director of football who's got a worldwide football ban. We have an assistant coach who was our last manager's assistant as our interim till the end of the season. We were no planning, no structure about the direction we're going in. We have so much dead wood in this squad that it's going to take 3 or 4 years to really turn it around. You know, unfortunately, we are going to finish 6th and 7th for probably the next couple of seasons. You know, it's the way it is. And if Harry Kane leaves, we become a mid-table team. It's that simple. Without Harry Kane, we become a mid-table team. So it's a complete and utter mess from Daniel Levy. But the thing that frustrates me more is he never takes any accountability ever. You see posts like, "Oh, they can't understand why the fans are so angry." Well, are you sitting there with fucking sunglasses on that don't allow you to see anything, in earmuffs, sitting in the office like, giving yourself a 500 grand a year, well, 500 grand a year pay rise for it? You know, so for me, it's a mess. These whole fucking, what is it? People signing whatever it's called. I'll get Levy out, etc. They ain't gonna do shit. You own 30% of the football club. You own your house, but I want you out of that bedroom. That's my bedroom.
Yeah,
Ain't gonna happen. I'm gonna be like, fuck off. I own it. He could take a shit in the centre circle, and we about it. Unless people start talking with their feet, unless people start talking with their wallets, nothing will change at this football club.
No, I agree, mate. And it's a really, really interesting point. Everything that kind of you discussed there. As you said, we have a women's team who are fighting relegation with no manager. Who just got battered by Arsenal. You can't put that against them. It's not a strong team compared to the likes of Arsenal and City and Chelsea that are kind of fighting out of the top. But it just shows why dislike, right, about this whole managerial hunt. And we will get onto the managerial hunt soon, because I really wanted to talk about the women's team first. But you kind of went over everything, which is cool. Is that
sorry about that.
We've done this so many times, right? We have done this so many times where what we do is we, and I don't mind it, right? To a certain degree, I don't mind, the club taking their time in who they pick as a manager, but they do it every time, and they do it badly every time, and they wait too long, and they just mess around, and they just stuff it up every single time. And I wouldn't mind if they said, "Do you know what? We've had quite a few managers recently. We can't decide. Poch, we can't decide Nagelsmann. Do you know what? Nagelsmann, he doesn't want to decide yet. So do you know what we'll do is we'll take our time and we'll really kind of figure out the fine print and everything else." The problem is we've seen this happen and we've seen it go wrong, and it is going to go wrong. Because, for example, the likes of Pochettino will get signed up by somebody because we're taking too long. Nagelsmann will get taken by somebody because it's taking too long. And it will just end up with some idiotic 2-bit manager that's in because we didn't have anybody else to pick from. And it's going to rain on, and it's going to continue. And it's just, I hate watching it happen over and over and over again. Go on, Harry.
Yeah, I agree. And just thank you. Just jumping onto that, what you say, we never learn, from our mistakes. And someone like Chelsea, who I've heard how true it is, that they want Nagelsmann, it will take them 24 hours, from nothing to appointing him. But for us, it seems to take 3 or 4 months, and we still don't end up with Nuno. I mean, what was he, 500th choice? I mean, we probably had to even convince him to come to Tottenham. But the thing that frustrates me is mistakes that never been learned. And like you say, I'd like to touch on the women's team because, to be fair, I do watch them, every week, and it's sad to see them going proper downhill. But again, it comes back to the same mistake with the men's team. Sometimes the investment's there, but it comes down to the recruitment. Again, it's poor. The recruitment has been absolutely terrible. And the investment's been there. The recruitment has been let down again. I mean, I think I read a statistic the other day. I think they've lost, I could be wrong, so like 7 out of their last 9 or something. I mean, obviously getting battered by Arsenal, that was a very hard watch. So mistakes are never learned from top to bottom of this football club, and every route you try and take for someone to blame, it always comes back to the owners and the board.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on kind of to Dave's statement about the fact that people are signing petitions now, and me and Dave were in the same group chat, with some other Spurs YouTubers in there, and it got passed around again, didn't it, Dave? This petition, and we both said, if people want to make change, there are 2 very, very good ways to make change. Number 1 will never happen. because there's too many people that want to go and watch Spurs, and that would be people not turning up or people not spending money at the football club or not renewing their season tickets, right? But the queue is so long that would never happen because somebody else will always be there to take that doesn't care. The things that do make a difference are like such things as mass walkouts of the football club during a game that's live on television. Something like that will, when Daniel Levy is in attendance, things like that. If you really want these things to make a difference, you have to do it, but you have to do it properly. Anything that is ever organised from our football club. How on earth, by the way, can we as fans talk about Daniel Levy and the board being incompetent when we can't organise our own protest and get more than about 30 people turn up? How on earth can we stand there and slag off our own board for being incompetent when our fan base is incompetent as well? And that's what irritates me. I have nothing against protests and I have nothing against people doing the right thing and using their voices to be heard. But it's always done the wrong way and it's always done badly.
Yeah, some people bottle it. And do you remember we had this discussion before? Not many people like to hear it. They hype it up. They, on social media, encourage others, wind up others, and don't turn up themselves or bottle it. And it's just ridiculous. And Luke, I agree. Fans are actually, they're part of the problem. For example, I had season tickets could be increased. I mean, Levy has no shame for doing that, of course. I think that's shocking. But fans will just, they moan about it and it will annoy them. But they still renew the season ticket. I promise you, the waiting list will still be as long. Probably even get even longer. Because if you get Champions League football, which I can't see us getting, but things like that. I mean, and signing petitions. I mean, really, as you said, what is it? Levy earns like 30% of the club. I mean, he's not gonna step down like that. And I mean, signing a little petition in your mum's bedroom isn't going to change anything, and nor is hyping up a protest and not turning up. So protests have been shocking. I would attend a protest if I believed it was reasonable and good, but I've never hyped something up and not turned it up. That's bottling it, and not many people like to hear it. And of course, like you got, was it Brian Daigle, who to be fair to him, he's one of the good ones. But you get lots of people who, like I said, you hype it up or say this, do that. Try and organise it and don't turn up. It's just ridiculous. And all that you got of those clown faces as well. Levy on social media, they won't turn up. They got nothing better to do. They won't turn up. So fans are a massive factor and they're a massive problem.
Let's talk a little bit about what happened Sunday night. So we talked about this, Dave, on Saturday on the show, and we were discussing kind of me, you, and Wes all said when we thought the announcement would happen. And do you know what? It happened a little bit sooner than I thought it would. But we got the news that Antonio Conte was being sacked, but nobody kind of guessed that Stellini would be in charge, for the interim. Now, I for one, I'm slightly worried about this. Either it could go well in terms of, he's completely splitting away from Antonio Conte and he wants to, give his shot at club management, which a lot of assistants do end up doing. You can look at the likes of Steve Clark. I think he was with Mourinho for a while, wasn't he? And then went out kind of on his own. But that part's going to be interesting. But the part that I'm very, very pessimistic about is, will I see any change in tactics from Spurs? Will I see any change in formation from Spurs? And will I see anything different from the absolute dross that we have seen the entire season? If that is the case, what is the point in this, Dave?
We just got tired about fucking talking about how negative we are. It's one thing after another with this football club. It's tiring. It's boring is probably the right word. Now, I'm sure Stellini's a great guy. I'm sure he's lovely. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that his time was up. There's no doubt in my mind we won't get top four. And there's no doubt in my mind that people signing petitions is not going to make a change. We play football in a soulless bowl. We're too concerned about building a go-kart track underneath the stadium or signing sponsorship deals with Dulux and getting mocked by them. We have no clear direction, no clear plan. 2 years ago, Daniel Levy released a statement saying how important it is to recognise that he wants Tottenham to play the Tottenham way, attacking football. Then he went and applied Conte.
What's a hypocrite?
We are the most boring football team to watch. We have some of the worst players in the Premier League. Half the players in our team wouldn't get in Bournemouth's team, for example. People talk about spending money. Yeah, we have spent money, but we haven't backed a manager to the point where they want to be backed. Stellini's going to come in and it's going to be the same. We're probably still going to play 3-4-3, 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it. The fact of the matter is, I'm sorry, but he is Conte's right-hand man. Could you imagine him being like, oh, I'm struggling this week. Let me give my mate Antonio a call to see what he'd do.
Yeah.
Did you see what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Who should I play in this position? Who do I know that can help me? I know, I'll call Antonio because he's his right-hand man. So for me, this whole mess is we know what it is. It's a fucking ball of shit. And I think we just have to limp through the rest of this season. Watch Arsenal win the league, watch City win the Champions League, watch us finish 5th or 6th, have a painful season, celebrate St. Tottenham's Day or whatever it is for the first time in 7 years, and then try again in the summer and with a new manager. But the reality of it is, if it takes 4 months to hire a new manager again, we're fucked. So I'm not positive about the future. Daniel Levy has to recognise the fact that he is running a sinking ship right now. Whether he wants to sell or not. Me and you have this conversation quite a lot, Luke, and you know I'm not in at all. I'm ENIC out. But I do think they've done a good job off the pitch. And I do make that very clear. Evidently, financially, they've done a good job with the infrastructure, with the sponsorship deals and everything else. But stay the fuck away from my football team.
Yeah.
Stay the fuck away from my footballing decisions. That's all I can say.
Yeah, no, I completely agree on that, that matter. And, for those that do call me ENIC in, whatever they, want to call me on social media, which you can call me whatever you like. I couldn't give two tosses. But, I will always recognize progression and I will always recognize, good business acumen, right? But I will also recognize that Daniel Levy's time as any part of the footballing decisions of a football club were gone a long time ago. And the day that he steps away from that and says, do you know what? I will run this business and I will run this business well, but I will not make another decision involving football. That's what we need, I believe, as a football club. I believe that we need to continue progressing revenue streams. I believe that we need to continue doing these things. But I think he needs to completely step aside. I don't believe that will happen, which is why a change in ownership will probably be the right thing to do. Do I think it will happen in the next 5 years? Definitely not. But quick question, Dave, and I'll come on to Harry about Stellini. Who would you have rather, looking at it now, would you have rather had Ryan Mason till the end of the season? Or would you have rather had Stellini? Because my issue with Stellini is, I always feel like it's a bit of an undercover agent type thing. Like, we got rid of Conte, but we didn't really get rid of Antonio Conte because we've still got Stellini there.
Ryan Mason is the modern-day David Pleat. That might be a bit before your time, Harry, but he is the modern-day David Pleat. When things go wrong, call in David Pleat. What I personally think should have happened is they both should have gone, or Mason should have gone back to the under-21s, and we should have got somebody with a little bit of know-how, a little bit of experience to come in till the end of the season and steady the ship.
But who?
We saw went to Chelsea, remember?
Yeah.
Well, is it like anybody saying, remember Gus Hiddink went to Chelsea? Same sort of scenario, same sort of situation. I'm sure there's an older manager or a manager out there who can come in and steady the ship to the end of the season with ambitions of taking over full-time next season if they did a good job.
Damn Allardyce.
I just think this whole... anyone. I think when you go back to Mason and Stellini, you are creating a rod for your own back because they only know one way, and that's the Conte way. That's all they've known. And you are right. You know, let's say, for example, you're in that situation. You need some advice. Who are you going to call? The man who's been there and done it.
Yeah.
You're going to call Antonio Conte, isn't he? If there's something he doesn't quite know, he's not going to call Daniel Levy, is he? He's going to call a guy who knows what he's doing, who's been successful wherever he's been. He's going to call Conte, and we're going to be in the same situation. I would not be surprised to see us get beat today. You know, that's how I feel at the moment. I have no positivity, and it's so hard to be in a group chat with.
But you didn't answer my question, Dave.
Who would I have? Do you know what? I'd have gone for someone like Harry Redknapp to the end of the season, or Martin Yole to the end of the season, mate.
But you didn't answer my question.
Go on, what's the question?
Who would you rather have in charge, Ryan Mason or Stellini?
I did. None of them. Neither.
That's a very, very good impression of Boris Johnson. So we'll move on to Harry.
I can answer the question, though, actually.
Okay.
For a change, I'm going to
Christ, Harry, finally you're going to answer a question without going around the houses.
I'm going to answer that question, and I'm going to explain why. For me, it's quite simple. It's Ryan Mason, because Dave makes a very valid and important point that I'm glad he brought up. Stellini is Conte's right wing or right hand man, whatever you want to call him. Right? He, as you say, Stellini will go straight to Conte. He won't go to Levy. He won't go to. He won't even go to Ryan. I think he goes to Conte before he goes to Ryan Mason. And it wouldn't surprise me if we find out, at the end of the season that Conte was actually picking the team. He's calling Stellini, telling him what formation to play, telling him what players to play. And I read yesterday that Conte's in contact with Stellini every day. That tells you everything you need to know. Ryan Mason's someone different. He's someone who hopefully the players will respect. He's someone that's pretty much of their level. Sometimes I'm going to use this example that I used on my show last Monday. Like, for example, when they teachers often get a student to speak to a student to try and sort something out because they're on the same level as them. Sometimes someone listens to someone who isn't above them and on the same level with them. So I think Mason would be a lot better. People go, the results under Stellini were better. Well, two of those results in what I think was the worst 9 days the club have had for ages, and that was the 1-0 loss against Wolves and getting knocked out the FA Cup, where Sheffield United were under Stellini. The formation would change the same, the tactics will stay the same, the team will stay the same, nothing would change, and Conte will still be in contact. And so thinking about it, I mean, it's not going to do that much good sacking Conte. People go, new manager bounce. I mean, it's the same people been here all along, but perhaps the players have a little bit more respect for Stellini, but I would have rather Brian Mason, until the end of the season, to be honest with you. And I just worry about us next season. I think we've got further. I mean, all I ask for, right, is for one day to support, for one normal day to support Tottenham Hotspur. But every day there's drama. Every day there's chaos. There's something different. I can't.
I got news for you, mate.
What?
I got news for you, Harry. Get used to it.
Yeah, I know. I'm already used to it, you see. But with Paratici, why do you appoint him and think he's going to brush away? Why do you do that? Of course he's not going to brush away. Someone's done something dodgy. You think they're going to ignore it? That's a bad decision. And the first club statement they released in Paratici should have been gone then. Why did they have to wait till they...
We'll get on to Paratici, Harry. We'll get on to that. That's coming up next.
It bugs me. But yeah, answering your question, Ryan Mason for me. I mean, Stellini, but at the same time, people call me a hypocrite because at the time I was going, Stellini's the man. But then we go and lose. I probably jinxed it because 4 days after I said that, we went and got knocked out of the FA Cup and lost the Wolves. So he's not. People say, if he does well, he could be the long-term replacement. Maybe he might want to go into management, but I just think it's a case of getting Conte away from these bunch of players, and that communication will still be between Conte and Stellini. I think so.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because the reason why I brought it up is for that very valid reason that they are, as far as I can gather, very close. But what makes it slightly interesting for me is that usually when you see a coach leave, you see the backroom staff or his assistants leave with them. And
yeah, but why was it?
you know,
Why was it announced at 10? I mean, we all expected Conte to leave. Mutual could say no, he was sacked anyway. But do you expect it to happen on 10:30 on a Sunday night? That just shows how unprofessional I think we are as a club. You don't expect. Very rarely is it done at a weekend, let alone 10:30.
Yeah, but
on
there was
Sunday night.
I think there was a reason for that, wasn't it? Because it was after Harry Kane secured this. This is what I'm reading into. After Harry Kane
Good news,
secured
bad
the
news
goal for England.
situation. Good news, bad news.
Yeah, exactly.
Do it Monday morning then.
Yeah, I know, but
I just
Spurs,
think
I don't think it's the first time Spurs have
just
released a
sums up
statement at
Levy.
night because
He can't count on his fingers how many players he's got out loan on January, and he can't tell the time as it seems as well. So what can he do? Successful businessman, but when it comes to football, I mean, it's like it's just trying to teach it's like trying to teach a baby. You know, it's
you
ridiculous.
forget Pedro Porro. He was also announced late at night. Do you remember, Harry? Me and you said the next day we were both asleep when that came out.
Yeah, no, that was ridiculous. I mean, but he's a player. That was left too late, of course. At least he got it done. But with Conte, it's different. You know, there's no transfer window. It's not going to shut. Announce it first thing Monday morning. Not when everyone's in bed. You're announcing Conte's been sacked, and then my phone's buzzing at 100 miles per hour per second. And I'm thinking,
making us do announcement videos at bloody 10:30 at night. I've got better things to do.
Get out of bed and react to Conte being sacked. We're in the next day, but that's Spurs for you.
Yeah. So sorry, going back onto my point on Stellini. First of all, I find that interesting, and if there is a split up of Stellini and Conte, which you do see these things. Do you know what I mean? You do see assistants leave and say, do you know what? Now is my time to step up and to try and become a manager. And even if I don't get this job, it's a very good, point on my CV and, television images and videos and things like that of how his team's got on. The only thing I think on Monday night about the game is that I don't see us being able to play five at the back with the players that we've got in at the moment. I don't think we've got enough players to play five at the back. So I think we're going to have to play four at the back. Dave, what do you think?
So we're looking at Eric Dyer, Clement Longley, Romero, Tanganga, Sanchez.
Porro. Yeah, then Porro.
So yeah, we've got enough, mate. By the way, the thing is Stellini, we haven't just kept Stellini, we've kept all of the backroom staff too, which I find really weird.
Yeah, he's weird, yeah.
It is weird. It's like you got rid of Conte, but you kept everybody else. Luke's dogs are off.
Yeah, sorry, mate. My dog's kicking off. No, I agree, mate. It is odd and it is weird, which is the only thing that worries me. Thing is we don't have anyone to play left wing back. Clement Longley could sit in as a left back because he's
Perisic available though.
Huh? Yeah, Perisic as well.
Perisic is in training. He's putting tackles in on Tanganga, 2-footed.
That was actually Højbjerg, wasn't it?
What about Højbjerg?
That was Højbjerg.
Was it?
That video that went out with a tackle. It was on Dumpster. It was actually Højbjerg.
I didn't watch it. Really.
Okay, right. Let's move on to quickly talk about Paratici, as I know, Harry, you've got to go soon. So, Harry, we'll jump on to you. Obviously, the statement last night pretty much read that he's going to take a step away from, football at Spurs and that, a leave of absence until, the appeal has gone in and whatnot. Like, why are Spurs not? Do you remember when Juventus got these issues came in? Everybody stepped down. Like, everybody just stepped down and moved away from the football club. Spurs, though, no. Do you know what? The first statement that came out said that they were shocked. It was something like they were shocked that
we're surprised by this. Oh no,
they weren't allowed to appeal.
Yeah,
before the decision was announced. It was proper mental. And then the next one, 2 days later, basically just said, "Okay, well, we are going to appeal, and he's going to take a leave of absence." Do you know what that means? He's still absolutely raking in the money from Spurs, yet he doesn't have to actually do any work for the money. Like, Harry, talk to me about Paratici, because we all thought this is going to be a good guy that comes into Spurs, and it turns out he's just another embarrassment for this club.
Just sums up Tottenham Hotspur. We know Paratici will, when his band's gone, will go elsewhere and probably, put transfers in of his life and be successful because it's like Mourinho and Conte. won everywhere else, even the likes of Nuno. They leave and win a trophy. So it just seems to be something with Tottenham, but it's just a joke with Paratici. That first of announcement, I mean, to ignore it and to think it will blow away, if you like. I mean, come on, you're living in a fantasy like fairy world. I mean, it's not going to blow away, is it really? When he's been found guilty of this and he's charged in Italy, do you think it's going to blow away and they're going to ignore it? We all knew it was a matter of time. We just didn't. It just happened suddenly on the day, but we all knew, didn't we? At some point, it was going to happen. So how the club think they tried to ignore it, I have no idea. And that first club statement, he should have announced. He should have went straight away. So even that, it's just poor and unprofessional. Where's the due diligence? And it's not going to, of course, it's not going to blow away. To be honest with you, I think we'd be better. To be honest with you, without him, I think he has quite a big impact to what we do. So yeah, it's just a shambles really, and just why you appoint him in the first place. You knew about this. The club knew about it. So why would you do that? But that means we know what this means. League is going to be the one picking the manager. We know what that's going to look like. It's not going to look good, isn't it? It's going to be someone he gets on with and someone that represents the business, or someone who's willing to, I don't know, speak positively about him, speak about turning us into a multi-sports brand. Football comes first. The football club, which we are, business, and turning us into a multi-sports brand, which I don't have a problem with. People have a problem with these concerts, the go-karting track. I don't, as long as you prioritise the football club. But we're not even doing that. And that is a massive issue. Why this is all going on, right? Why Conte left, sacked, should I say. Paratici left. Apparently, Levy's on a business trip in Asia. What does that tell you? And Paratici was away somewhere as well. Why this is all going on? So many things happen at the club, and Levy's away on a business trip in Asia, trying to secure some minuscule deal that doesn't affect us fans, only affects his back pocket. And he's trying to put the season ticket prices up. He's taking out, I like to use the word taking out, giving himself 500,000, 500,000 pay rise extra a year. What's he done to deserve that? Okay, he may work hard as a businessman, but football club has got to come first. The clue is after Tottenham Hotspur. It's football club. It's not multi-sports brand, or Dave, as you would say, it's not property portfolio. It's football club. So that has got to be the priority, and it's not. So Paratici is just a mess, really. It's a shambles. And once again, every route people try and take to blame, it comes back to Levy and the board. But I think the board have as much to answer for. There's certain members of the board who are as responsible.
Yeah, no, I agree, Harry. Look, Harry, I'll let you go because I know you've got a busy day. But thank you very, very much for coming on. Tell everybody how they can find you and about your show on Monday.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. Pleasure to be back. Obviously, you find me here every Saturday, 11 a.m. Well, most Saturdays, should I say, 11 a.m. here. Dave, Luke, and Winnie. I have my own show every Monday, 8 p.m. But there is no show, I would like to say, use this opportunity now Monday, because Spurs play at 8 p.m. on Monday. So I don't want them to ruin my show. And what's the point having this show about Spurs at the same time Spurs play? So it's no point, is there? I've got a few collaborations coming news, a bit of exciting news, I think, next week. Try and think what else. You can find me, Harry Scarf 22. Most actively probably on Twitter, and you've got probably lots of Spurs content as well coming next week, because there seems to be drama a lot. You never have, the Alistair Gold curse as well of him trying to have days off. I have no chance of getting a day free of content with Spurs. I'll probably be active on somewhere. And last thing, YouTube channel recently passed 350 subs, so thank you for that. Next target is 400. But yeah, thank you for having on. It's been a pleasure to be back.
No problem, Harry. Good to see you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Take care. Enjoy.
Right, Dave, I will let you have your say now on Paratici.
Oh, mate, it's like I said to you a minute ago. It's when this all came out about Juventus, Agnelli, Nedved, they all went, "Oh shit, we're in a bit of trouble here. We better step down." Tottenham, dude, they've done this weird little dance around the houses. Matt Law came out the other day where he said that Tottenham were aware of the Paratici situation and were warned against employing Paratici because of this. But Daniel Levy persisted anyway, in true Daniel Levy fashion. Now, that was a mistake. Mistake number one. We then crack on I mean, he's a defensive director of football. He likes defensive coaches, hence the Nuno appointment, the Conte appointment, etc. He doesn't fit our football club as a director of football. He doesn't fit the way that Tottenham want to play. He doesn't, unfortunately. Then the news comes out that he's received a ban and could face criminal charges. Not footballing charges, criminal charges. And Tottenham ignore it. All right? Then we get the news. Well, we get this nice little YouTube piece from Paratici talking about how, we've all got to pull together. Got a hard 10 games left of the season. The day after, in total egg on the face moment, FIFA go, oh, by the way, we're banning him from all football, not just Italian. We then get this thinly veiled statement released by Tottenham, which basically says, I am so shocked about this. It's come out of the blue. We had no idea this was going to happen. Everybody turns around and laughs at Tottenham because they're like, what a load of bullshit. You have people like respected people, Paul O'Keefe, for example, saying, what a shambles this is. How are he still at the club? God knows what our sponsors must have been thinking at that time. And then after they bow to a couple of days, they bow to a bit of pressure, go, oh, he's taking a leave of absence from the game. No, you're trying to save face. He shouldn't be anywhere near it. If he's done half the stuff that he's apparently done, he shouldn't be anywhere near this club. It's as simple as that. And it's a Daniel Levy masterstroke. And this is why me and you have the same conversation, that he needs to stay away from the footballing aspect.
Yeah, that part, Dave, that does surprise me actually about the fact that they didn't release him, or mutual consent or whatever he wanted, right, financially. I'm surprised that didn't happen because you are spot on in terms of sponsors, and it won't go lightly with sponsors and other people that we have, financial, working relationships with. And it does surprise me that they aren't just nipping it in the bud and getting rid of it, which kind of does concern me over then eventually what did they sign up to with him? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what was the initial agreement?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why would they not just, nip it in the bud, sweep it under the rug and just say, do you know what? We're going to part company with Paratici. We wish him the best of luck in the future, but we can't be associated with this kind of behavior. That's what the statement should have said.
The thing is, right, in what's happened, it's bringing the club into disrepute. Now, I'm sure every single employment contract says that if you bring your employer into disrepute, that's grounds for dismissal.
Yeah.
In terms of bringing the club into disrepute. It's massive.
Yeah.
I can't understand why we haven't sacked them. I don't get it. I really don't. I'm sorry, my internet's a bit shit today.
All right, mate. Yeah, it's really difficult, mate. It is really difficult. And do you know what? Who knows where we go from here? Because I really want to move on to Everton quickly on Monday. But, even the likes of, I'm trying to still stay firm on my initial claims that Pochettino would be the next, not the Spurs manager, not because I have any other agenda against it. I'm just too stubborn to back down. Probably like Daniel Levy, to be fair. And too stubborn to back down on anything. But if that really was an option for Spurs, why would they not have already done it? Why would they not? Because, again, we're trying to do this whole merry-go-round thing where we try and assess all options, fuck up every option that we end up having, and then mess it up, to try and find somebody again. That's what's making me sick to death at the moment, Dave. It's just that whole, round the houses, we'll assess all of our options, we'll interview all the candidates, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll wait our time, the season's not over yet. And then people get snapped up because other clubs work faster and smarter. And that's what's really grating me at the moment.
It's always been that way with Tottenham in every aspect, in the transfer market, in manager hunts, in everything. And that's just the way we operate, unfortunately. It's the wrong way to operate. We haven't had a manager complete a whole season since Poch in 2019. We dilly-dallied in the transfer market and we've lost out on probably, I could name you 10 players that we lost out on because of our inability to get deals over the line. We have the record for the longest time without a full-time manager in the whole Nuno debacle. So this club and the way it operates, there needs to be some serious changes. And whether Daniel Levy steps down or not, he has to recognise that it is an absolute shit show at the moment. That's it. It's a shit show. And until that changes, until things change from the top, nothing will filter its way down and change on its way down. It's exhausting. It drives you crazy. It is exhausting. I mean, Harry said, "Oh, why can't we have a normal day?" I mean, I've been doing this for 35 years. No day's a normal day in Tottenham. It's not. It's every day there is something. There's a problem, and you're kind of waiting for the next thing that other clubs can banter you about with this club. That's what it's like. So Daniel Levy needs to take a long, hard look at himself. Ideally, I want him to leave. But if he's not going to leave, he needs to take a long, hard look at himself and the way he's running this club and the decisions he's made. And he needs to say, okay, and admit that he's made mistakes. Come out and say, look, I made some mistakes, whatever else. Let us hear from him. I've made some mistakes, but I'm going to do things properly. I'm going to do things the right way now. And this is our plan. Because at the moment, every single Tottenham fan is so divided because nobody has a fucking clue what's going on. You're muted, Luke.
Yeah, realise that. So let's try and move this on to some form of positivity, right? Spurs are back. The international break is over. Thank God for that. Spurs are back. We do have a change in management, in some degree. And, I'm slightly hopeful that actually, do you know what? Stellini will use this as an opportunity to implement his own style, his own philosophy, his own thoughts. And that would really, if that did happen, that would really say, big stuff for you to Antonio Conte, because it would say, this is how I want to play. This is how I believe the players can play. And I would be interested in seeing whether that actually comes to fruition or not. I also want to see that kind of cohesion between Ryan Mason and that, because I do respect Ryan Mason, and I think that he has been through a lot. And I think that, do you know what? He has been working hard at Spurs, and he has got promotions and various different things that, that he has done. And I don't think he is awful manager. I think that he makes some mistakes, but so does everybody. And I think that at some point he may become a top manager. And I wish that does happen for him. But, there are some positives. We do only have to play Everton, right? The difficulty for us is going to be how we affect that Sean Dyche low block tactic. What are your overall thoughts leading up to the Everton game? Do you think Harry Kane's going to be back fighting fresh because of his goals for England? What are your thoughts?
Well, he's just scored another goal, hasn't he, with his misses? So he's definitely firing on all cylinders, put it that way. The low block worries me because we don't have a creative midfielder that can break down that low block. That's been our problem for a couple of seasons, probably since Eriksen left. So that concerns me. Dyche, even with his Burnley teams, it was always gritty and horrible to play against them, and it's going to be the same again. I'm going to be one of these weeks for me, but I can't see us beating Everton. I don't see us doing it. I see a draw, a 1-1 draw, something along those sort of lines, or we lose 1-0 because we don't create chances. If we don't create anything, we can't score goals. So I want to see a bit of fight from the players. I want to see them turning around to the fans saying, look, we know it's been shit, but this is what we're going to do from till the end of the season. I do want to see something different from Stellini. I don't want the same old Conte bullshit. We need a fresh approach. We need to change something. So I'm hoping that he has the cojones to change something. But I do think it'll be a gritty, tough game, and unfortunately, I can't see us winning at the moment.
Yeah. Do you know what I'd like to see as well? I'd like to see a 4-2-2-2. 4 at the back, 2 kind of central midfielders, 2 wide players, and I would like to see Richarlison and Harry Kane try and play as a partnership, because you've never really seen Harry Kane play in a partnership. Do I believe that's going to happen? Definitely not. But I would like to see that, because I can guarantee you next season we don't play with 5 at the back, and so. I think it's going to be important to us to try and get that in. Look, if we had the likes of Ryan Mason picking the team, we would definitely play 4 at the back because that's what he usually likes to play and has played for us. But I agree with you in the sense of it will be difficult for us to break down that low block. We always struggle against the low block, a defensive team. We struggle against teams that really don't try and attack and press high up the pitch. Once we play to our best ability and we have teams pressing us, that's where we come into our own. And that's where we can really dominate and hurt teams. But it's when the teams sit back, and as you say, it's been like this for a long, long, long time. I would say even still under Pochettino, for all the good things he did for us, I still don't believe he was that good at breaking down a low block. And it is quite simple. I'm not a football coach, but it is quite simple with a low block. All it involves is rather than passes across the line, one player to another, it involves passing past a couple of players. So it's, rather than doing
through the lines.
one. Exactly. But I just don't understand how a lot of our players at this club can't ever do it or see it. So I really do hope that
we've got a lot of, and Harry's not here, so I can say it. But Højbjerg, for example, he plays that swivel back towards the defenders, 5-yard pass back to the centre backs, who will then spread it out to the wing backs, who will then come back inside to Højbjerg, who will then do a swivel and pass it back to the centre backs. So we end up going around a loop for 15, 20 minutes of a game. And that's part of the problem. The biggest miss for us is Bentancur, because he was the one player that did that. He played forward, played progressive, and and Basuma as well. When he was at Brighton, he was the same. So listen, it's in the midfield being what we're looking at, Skippy and Højbjerg probably. So both are quite defensive players. So for me, it's going to be turning on a swivel and just playing 5-yard passes. And we just got to pray that our front 3 or front 4, whoever it may be, do something in that game.
Yeah, definitely. Right, let's move on to a quick score prediction before we finish up. So if you're in the comments, check your score predictions in nice and quick so we can get them in. I know Johnny's been commenting all day, so hopefully he'll get his score prediction in as well. I will start today's score predictions with a nice positive 3-1 Spurs victory.
Yeah, or whatever the optimist, Luke. I'll go for a 1-1. I'll go for a 1-1 draw for the first time in my life. I'm going for a draw.
Lovely. And look, we will see what happens on Monday night, and also, what is going to happen over the next coming weeks, months, etc. Because we aren't going anywhere. So, Dave, thank you very, very much for coming on today. Let everyone know how they can find you and everything else, all that good stuff.
Everyone knows by now, Park Lane Pod Dave on Twitter or Park Lane Pod. I'm here pretty much every week, unless I'm dying. But yeah, it's come back. Next week I'll be on time, and hopefully we've got something positive to talk about, Luke.
Yeah, definitely, mate. It's good to have you back. Good to have you in good health, and good Harry was back as well today. Hopefully soon we will have Winnie back in the future, potentially next season. But if you want to follow me, it's Luke_Park Lane. Don't forget to follow the podcast at Park Lane Pod on any podcast platform. Park Lane Pod on Twitter and TikTok, and then Park Lane Podcast on YouTube. So make sure you're liking, make sure you're subscribing, make sure you're sharing this with all your friends. But if you're watching in the future, the past, the present, make sure you're sticking your comments in and sharing the love with us. Once again, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good weekend, and hopefully, we'll be cheering on a Spurs victory. But as we always say, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.